It's time for me to rate your Dia builds while answering at least one question you may have. Thank you to the participants for submitting their Dia builds so that I can educate everyone watching this video on how they can improve their Dia. Hopefully you learn something from these participants as they showcase their situation and scenarios that I wouldn't have come up with myself. Hopefully you enjoy the video. First entry, Ames, said this. Hello everyone, hope you're all having a good day. This is my current Dia build. I know it's kinda bad, but I'm stopping for a moment as I need to farm artifacts for other characters as well. I play with our usual comp, Dehya, Ferna, Bennett, and Kazuha. Question. I do have an HP Sands that could help increase the crit rate, but loss of ER. Should I do it? On the other hand, once I get Mona, what weapon should I use for her to make Dehya busted? Addressing the question about swapping the ER Sands for HP Sands that has a higher crit rate substat, I'm going to assume that the HP Sands have a 10% crit rate. If that's the case, then it wouldn't be enough because if Dehya can't crit consistently, then her damage would be underwhelming. Important thing to note, now that I see her constellations, HP Sands is not recommended for CC or Dehya as she needs C1 to make HP Sands a useful stat to her, so I would stick to ER Sands for now, and focus on getting more crit rate stats aiming for at least 70% crit rate. About the weapon question, for Mona, there are many supporting options since she is a Catalyst user, giving her options like Thrilling Tales, Prototype Amber, and Favonius. Thrilling Tales is a good option in general, but Prototype Amber has potential when pairing her up with Ferna, so he can heal past the 70% HP limit Bennett can only heal up to, giving more fanfare stacks, and Favonius can open weapon options for Farina if you want to go more offensive with her, and possibly allow Bennett to afford to use a higher base attack weapon to buff Dehya further. Repeating what you said, that you stop farming for a moment as you need to farm artifacts for other characters. If by any chance you are currently farming for the Hunter set, or have a solid set already, it can be as temporary or even a permanent solution to what your Dehya really needs most right now, which is crit rate. And Ferna makes it a lot easier to gain stacks, which I didn't know at the time before making a 37-minute Dehya guide. I hope my answer to your question was satisfactory, and if you have more questions, the build help channel in the Discord is always there. Next entry is Gabby. Hello to the Dehya Church, I present myself as a faithful servant, and this is my forever work in progress Dehya. HP Goblet and Offset Circlet because the RNG gods are not with me. I use Dehya for whatever comes to my mind in the moment, because I love her, and getting her C1 makes me really want to use her as a DPS. After several Triton changes, I decided to make a melt team with Dehya, Ferna, Charlotte, and Rosaria. Although I really like the team, I'm not getting consistent melts. On one previous version of the team, I used Barbara instead of Charlotte, but the reactions were even less consistent. Also, Charlotte is with Emblem and Favonius. Is Emblem good enough in this context? And as a fun bonus, Dehya and Layla melt. The real or coping? I don't have a problem, I swear. Thank you for your entry, Gabby. Before I answer your question, I may as well help with team composition first since the answer won't matter if I don't address Dehya's melt teams first. Melt teams for Dehya is currently very limiting and tough to pull off because there are no cryo units that buffs team damage similarly to Ferna and Mona. Therefore, you need other buffers outside of the cryo element like Kazuha and Bennett with a cryo unit that can give enough cryo application for Dehya to melt, and there's currently only one unit that can consistently do that, which is Kaya. Other cryo application options like Rosario are okay picks for melt teams, but it's gonna feel very clunky playing her with Dehya since Rosario has a circle impact problem, and with enemies becoming more mobile lately, positioning becomes the biggest problem, and dealing with one on the same team already is bad enough. You can never pull melts off if Ferna is in the team, since Hydra and Cryo are always going to fight with each other, so if you plan to use Ferna in the team with a Cryo unit, Charlotte is not a bad option, since she is a solid team healer and applies very little cryo application. I must warn you that it's not going to be a melt team since the first few seconds will be a freezing team, then the rest becomes vape. Charlotte can use either Noblesse Emblem or Song of Days Past, and as for weapon, Favonius all the way, since she is the only cryo in the team and her burst costing 80 energy to cast. The strongest force option for this team would be Mona, with Thrilling Tales since there is a hidden mechanic with her burst where her Omen buff duration lasts longer when enemies are frozen, and with Hydra Resonance, your Dehya with C1 can benefit from this. If you don't have Mona, Barbara with Thrilling Tales can work here too. The purpose of this team is keeping non-bosses still for the first few seconds to set up against them. It's especially useful on enemies that like to move around a lot. Now the bonus question was Layla. If there was any chance of DPS Dehya ever being able to pair well with Layla for melt teams, that would be a pipe dream. Okay, hold on. I can't disappoint him with that type of answer. So it's time for me to see if I can make this work. Okay, here's my attempt of making Layla and Dehya work. Of course, I would need to have Kazuha and Bennett, as I explained earlier, because Kazuha and Bennett is needed to buff Dehya's damage, or else Melt's damage would be disappointing. As you can see, it took me around like 7 minutes to get the right clip to show off, because there was times where Kazuha power infused instead of cryo infused for my Dehya to melt off, but there's also times where I needed to swirl Pyro was Kazuha's ultimate, so that way it takes down the guys who has the largest pyro elemental resistance. As I'm going to explain here, when I play this clip, I'm going to do a lot of pauses here. So I go in with Layla's shield, put cryo on the enemy, so that way I swirl with Kazuha and bring these enemies close together. Kazuha is really good at bunching these guys together for my Dehya. And yeah, I swirl cryo, make sure that we have enough cryo for Dehya to melt off of. And then I placed Layla's burst right there because Layla's abilities last for a short amount of time, which can be kind of annoying. So I had to play this very slow with Layla's abilities. And then I go in with Dehya's burst. If you're wondering why I'm not using Bennett's burst, it's because I needed Bennett's burst to keep the rotation smoothly, and it's a little bit complicated to explain, but trust me on this. My Dehya was built very well to make this work. It's just her burst and the 2 skills that she apply onto the bunch of enemies. So here I go again with Layla putting her shield down, and then Kazuha swirled the cryo, and then I place Layla's burst, and then I place Bennett's burst. Because if I didn't have Bennett's burst here, because I'm using a mist splitter for Bennett, so I'm not going to have the energy I need. If I use Favonius, then my Dehya is not going to be able to kill like the later enemies fast enough. I tried to swirl Kazuha, or not Kazuha, I tried to swirl Pyro last second to like just get a lot of value off of it. Like I said, timing is very hard with this team, and I could have placed Dehya's skill down to just make things work, but I had a lot of different plans to make this Abyss run work, at least for the first set of chambers. But here we go, see, 72k. I did melt 2 other times before in this one. And then this was accidental. I didn't mean to apply power right there, but I guess it did work out in my favor in the end of this one. So I placed Layla's stuff down. I placed everything down because, oh well. For some reason, Kazuha just takes priority of Pyro instead of Crowder here. I just have a feeling like I don't know why. I feel like this Animo just takes priority in swirling Pyro over Cryo. I don't know. You guys can explain that to me and why that happens, but even after all this Cryo stuff happening here, Pyro is still infused at the end. So I might as well roll with it. And it does help against these guys here because these guys for some reason are so tanky with their resistances, so I think Power Shredding is better here than Cryo in this case. So here I just finished them off, and as you can see, I'm using Sacrificial Grey Sword on Kazuha because I needed that for consistency and energy. And yeah, I have Favonius on Layla, even though I don't think I needed to use Favonius on Layla since her burst energy costs around 40. I still want it for comfy sake, you know. And then I swirl Cryo. Then Bennett, then I tap him. Oh yeah, that really got that Scorpion low. Then for my Dehya, she just wipes the field. Watch. 83k damage. Awesome. Now that we got that abysmal live commentary out of the way, before you get excited about this result, I was taking advantage of everything with what I have, and that includes the use of C4 Dehya, so I can use EM stands. Bennett was Mist-Splitter, maximize his buff, Kazuha was R5 Sack Sword, to keep up with a waste of enemies, and a couple of attempts to show solid results. While I can't guarantee that this would work for you, it's important to keep these factors in mind. Layla can't heal to have a spot in Dehya for her teams. She doesn't have consistent cryo application like Rosario or Kaya to keep up against the power aura, because there were times that Layla couldn't apply cryo at crucial moments for Kazuha to burst and fuse, so Dehya can melt. And finally, Dehya can't make good use of Layla's C4, leaving very little to work with. I wouldn't recommend using this team because of its inconsistency, especially when I use C4 Dehya to make this happen, but I hope this answer satisfies you to see if Dehya and Layla can ever work together in the same team, at least with enough investment. Not gonna lie, answering this was a challenge as I had to redo this 4 times and had to test out Layla with Dehya myself to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. But I hope my suggestion and explanation helped you greatly. Again, thank you Gappy for the entry, as these questions help me expand my ideas further or potential Dehya teams I might make a video of in the future. And even if these teams don't compare to other Dehya teams that's overall better, it's great to expand on ideas, especially for players who wants to main Dehya when they just start playing the game. Oh wait, I almost forgot to rate your Dehya build. Just keep farming Emblem, and Blackcliff Slasher is a solid weapon for any DPS Dehya build, which I would highly recommend getting. If you are worried about how much EM you need for Dehya, try to get around 100 EM from substats if you are playing Vape or Melt teams. And good job on getting C1, it makes a difference when trying out niche teams for Dehya. Next entry, it's Leaf. Hello, this is my Dehya build. I use her with C3 Vape Verna and still waiting on her C1. Okay, since there's no question being asked, I might as well just look at this build real quick. What the hell? What are these cracked artifacts? Look at that feather. I want that feather. But wait, is your build better than mine? Hold on. I need to go check my Dehya build and see if yours is better than mine, but I highly doubt it. Okay, we're in game now, and it's time for me to check my Dehya. Yes, I was just testing her with Layla as for the previous question. So, alright, let's see what I have here. Since you do have a Red Horn Stone Thresher, it might be hard to estimate which one's better, but we're not here for the weapons, we're just here for the artifacts. Artifact comparison, let's go. Alright, so obviously my flower is better than yours. Let's see, feather, yours is better than me, so that's 1-to-1. Alright, gladiators, okay, let me do a calculation real quick. So 6.6 times 2 for the crit rate value is 13.2 plus the 28% is 41.2 crit value. Alright, so I'm gonna bring up another calculator and check yours. Alright, so your crit rate for ER Sands is 13.6. 13.6 times 2 plus the 14. They're the exact same crit values. Mine just looks so much better here, but yours like, damn, dude. Wait, was that a roll in a different? Your energy, what? Your energy recharge had a roll where it didn't went into crit. That could have been close to a 50 crit value piece. Okay, I'm gonna check Goblet now. Yep, obviously mine is better, and it's an onset too. While yours is an onset, what is that crit rate with that Goblet? Wait, hold up. Never mind. Oh my god, man, you beat me by 1 point. Hold on, you beat me by 1.6. Ow! You must have rolled high on all these crit rates. That's insane, man. Hold on, that 44 flat defense, that was a roll in there, wasn't it? That would have been a 50 crit value Goblet. A power 1. I thought my power Goblet was good. But how did yours excel mine when you missed a roll on it? Wait, that means you beat me by 2. Wait, that means you've beaten me so far. 2-1. And our ER sense is tied. Alright, checking crit. Okay, checking circlet. Tie. 2 ties. And I only got 1 out of the rest. You got me, dude. Alright. Congrats, Leaf. You beat me by 1 piece. You beat me by getting high rolls on your power goblets. But good luck getting your C1. If you ever get C1, then my god, who knows what your Dehya can do. Let alone, like, more constellations down the line to C6, man. Next entry is a Dehya main who didn't include a name in their build, so I'll respect the wishes of being anonymous. This is my C2 Dehya build, a user with Nervalet, Farina, and Nahida as a complete support role. Using Sacrificial Greatsword, her skill is 100% with C2 uptime so I can get interruption resistance and Burgeon and Vape ticks consistently. Trope because skill damage bonus and Farina buffs a lot, and also Dehya's damage mitigation works well to fill Farina stacks with Nervalet. Okay, first things first. If you have C2 Dehya, you do not need Sacrificial Greatsword because C2 gives her on-field skill 100% uptime. An important thing to note is that using Sacrificial Greatsword does not reset the further resistance bonus. The only reason why people use Sacrificial Greatsword on Dehya is because they don't have C2. You are missing opportunities that most Dehya mains don't have, which is accessibility to other weapons you can afford to use. A better weapon to use on Dehya for this team is any EM weapon or Force Regalia, a craftable weapon with a passive that drops the leaf that gives 60 EM or 120 EM at R5 upon triggering any Dendro reaction like Burgeon, and any character can pick this leaf up and gain bonus EM from that. About your build, Trope is a good build for this team since Tenacity doesn't work well as Nervalet. If you want Dehya to do more Burgeon damage, you can go with EM as your main stats, but otherwise this build is good enough for Dehya's role in this team. Thank you for your entry. Now it's time for the next one. This entry is from Magnet. So hello, it's Asia Vu. This is what I've been able to make. Sadly, Farina didn't come home. So I'm using her with Benny, C1 included, Mona C1, and Kazuha, no other sans. Therefore, it's painful to watch lacking in crit rate for at least 70%. Do you think that 1-2 crit ratio is better, or just stick with this build till I get normal sans? Thank you for your entry, Magnet. Rating your build first, believe it or not, it's already looking pretty good. Having the 119 EM benefits Dehya a lot in Vape and Mill teams, so don't feel bad of missing out the 5 crit rate you need. And if you ever get Beacon one day, then you're set and you don't have to make any more changes to this build. If you want to continue improving Dehya's artifacts, go ahead, but do not discard these pieces you have because if you ever get Beacon one day, you're set with important stats like crit, PR, and EM, the trident of what hypercarry Dehya needs, and when you get constellations down the line, it will only get better. Hopefully my feedback helps you greatly. Now on to the final entry. Last entry is Ognis, and I hope I pronounced that right. Built for off-field skill, might use her like this in Ganyu Burnmo was Emily. This is a solid sub-DPS support Dehya. I had a set like this for Dehya when I was farming for Eula's domain a lot. I think this build is legit, especially with C1 and Ganyu appreciating the interruption resistance. Now I heard Emily needs another unit to hold deep woods for her, but I don't know much about that since I haven't paid attention to Emily lately. But hopefully with time so I can give details about Dehya's working with Emily to see how well they work together. And this brings up my next point about Emily. I don't plan to pull for Emily because I'm currently broke and I plan to save my Primos for Natalie. There might be units that have good synergy with Dehya down the line, but I hope that may be the case. Thank you for your entry, Ognis. And that's the end of the video. Hold on, before you go, I'll be streaming a few days later after this video is uploaded dedicating to answering your questions about Dehya live on stream, so if you want all your questions to be answered, make sure to keep an eye out for my streaming schedule, so you can make time to get all the helpful tips you need. Thank you to the 6 participants who had participated in this event. I hope everyone learns a lot about building Dehya since she is my favorite character in the entire game. Even though she may not be the best at doing things, she is a versatile character with so many creative ways to play, and that's what I value most when it comes to having fun in this game. Thank you for watching, and we'll see what I'll be doing next.